Inspired by music, we created this film to present the creative potential of two of the largest cultural institutes in the cross-border region, the city of Vidin Sinfonietta and the Craiova Philharmonic. They aim to promote the cultural, historical and natural wealth of the region. Musical Journey was filmed at 12 iconic tourist sites for the Vidin Dolj cross-border region. Musicians from a joint Bulgarian-Romanian orchestra, especially created for the project, performed a number of musical compositions using the ability of music to tell stories. Belogradchik Rocks and Kaleto Fortress. A natural phenomenon that evokes human fantasy. The Belogradchik Rocks, sculpted by nature over millions of years, resemble people, humans, animals or objects. Many of them are associated with interesting legends, and they cover an area 30 kilometers long and 3 kilometers wide. In the middle of the rocks stands an impressive bastion, the Belogradchik Fortress, which is one of the best preserved in the country. The impenetrable location of the stone barriers facilitated the Roman architects who built the fort. From the 1st to the 3rd century, it guarded the strategic roads that crossed the area. Nikola Petrov Art Gallery. The exquisite Nikola Petrov Art Gallery stands at the beginning of the Danube Park in Vidin. It was officially opened in 1962. In 1976, it was named after the great Bulgarian painter Nikola Petrov. At that time, a bas-relief by the sculptor Gheorghe Chepkanov was placed above the entrance door of the gallery. The history of the building, which is built on the foundations of an old fortress gate, is also interesting. It too is a cultural monument. Before it was turned into a gallery, it was a military club. On display in the gallery, there are over 1,400 works by famous Bulgarian artists such as Latu Boyadjiev, Ivan Mrkvichka, Vladimir Dimitrov the Master, as well as original prints by world-renowned masters such as Rembrandt and Francisco Goya. Danube Park. The Danube Park in Vidin, the construction of which began in 1878, is reminiscent of an Austrian Baroque park. Beautifully decorated with alternating trees, paths and flower beds, it is a lovely area for walking and relaxing for the town people. The garden has historical significance. There are a number of important architectural monuments such as the mosque and the library of Osman Pasvantoğlu. Telegraph Kapı and the Turkish post office are also interesting architectural monuments. The post office is a two-storey stone building and is the only one preserved in Bulgaria since the liberation. For a long time it was used as a boys' high school. It has now been declared a cultural monument. Konaka Museum, part of the Regional History Museum. An original architectural monument, the Konaka Museum is part of Bulgaria's 100 national tourist sites. It was built in the 18th century and was used as a Turkish police station. Due to the good visibility, the central turret also served as a fire watch. In 1956, it was opened as a museum telling the history of the Vidin region from the most ancient times until the liberation. The first anti-Ottoman uprising broke out here in Vidin, later to become the biggest Bulgarian uprising. The original documents for these events are stored in the Konaka Museum. Stambol Kapı Fortress Gates. God is great, glory to the strong fortress, reads the inscription on Stambol Kapı. This is the main gate to Kalito Fortress, since the road to Constantinople, or as it was then called Stambol, passed through here. A wide outer moat 6 meters deep was built around it and filled with water from the Danube. Stambol was the largest and deepest point and was used as a port for Turkish ships. There were a total of 9 fortress gates. The walls had guardrooms in them. They were closed with iron-clad double oak doors. Today Stambol Kapı is an emblematic place for Vidin, connecting the central square and the old town. Baba Vida Fortress. Covering an area of nearly 10 acres, Baba Vida Fortress is the only fully preserved medieval fortress in Bulgaria. It was both a defensive facility and the ruler's castle. It was built at the end of the 10th century, but finished in the 14th. Legend has it that a Bulgarian boyar once lived here, who had extensive possessions from the Carpathians to the Balkan mountains. After his death, his daughters Vida, Kula and Gamza divided their father's lands. The eldest Vida did not marry and remained unmarried until her death. Under her guidance, a castle was built where she lived to a very old age. On the banks of the Danube River, it served to protect the local population from foreign attacks. After her death, as a token of gratitude, the people from the region called the fortress Baba Vida or Baba Vidin Towers. Calafat Museum of Art and Ethnography. The most striking architectural landmark in Calafat is the Marinku Palace, which today houses the Museum of Art and Ethnography. It was built between 1905 and 1907 in early 20th century neoclassical style by the famous French architect Paul Gauthiery. It has exceptional travertine decorations, marble columns and stunning stained glass windows. In 1914, Stefan and Maria Marinku donated the palace to the municipality of Calafat, and in 1969 it was officially opened as a museum. Today one can see the works of many famous Romanian artists from the Dolj region. The museum's facilities are often used for performances of classical music. The historic centre of Craiova. We are located in Craiova, the capital of Oltenia and the Wallachian Kingdom. The first document that mentions Craiova's name dates from 1475. The city's location made it a strategic place in Romania's defence against the Ottoman Empire. Today there are 250 cultural monuments in Craiova, including the Oltenia Museum, the Museum of Arts, the Town Hall, the Prefecture, the District Court, the Bănaie House, the Marina Sorescu National Theatre and many more. All these historic buildings coexist harmoniously with the modern style and way of life. The city centre is famous for its singing fountains, which makes it a popular meeting place. Craiova Museum of Art. One of the most impressive buildings in Craiova is the Museum of Art. It is a building which instantly catches visitors' attention with its exquisite and lavish architecture. The building is a true architectural masterpiece. Construction commenced at the end of the 19th century. It was commissioned by Constantin Mihail, one of the most wealthy and influential people in the country at that time. In 1954, the palace was transformed into an art museum. The museum houses a rich collection of works of art by a number of classical 16th, 17th and 18th century European painters. The museum also features paintings by Romanian artists such as Grigorescu, Lucian, Tătărescu, Oman and others. Cetate Cultural Port. Between Calafat and Târnu Severin, on one of the bends in the Danube, opposite the Vidin village of Cușava, there is a port where cargo ships once stopped, and where today there is a harbour for cultural and gastronomic events of international importance. The former agricultural port of Cetate was founded in 1880. It is now flourishing once again thanks to the famous Romanian intellectual, poet and journalist Mircea Dinescu, who bought it and invested in its restoration. Today the port hosts various cultural activities under the auspices of the Poetry Foundation founded by Mircea Dinescu. Bănaii House. The building, also known as the Bănaii House, is one of the oldest preserved non-religious monuments of medieval architecture in Craiova. It was built in the 15th century, but after being partially destroyed, it was rebuilt in 1699 by Prince Constantine Brăcoveanu. Of the original building, only the underground parts of the house with vaulted brick walls have been preserved. Over the years, the function of the Bănaii House has changed many times. However, since 1966, it has been home to the ethnographic collection of the Oltenia Museum. The permanent and temporary exhibitions include traditional art, ancient and contemporary ceramics, icons, fabrics, folk costumes, musical instruments and many more. Romanescu Park. Romanescu Park is one of the most picturesque and attractive places in Craiova. In addition to being the second largest park of its kind in Europe, at the 1900 World Fair in Paris, the plans of the landscape architect Edward Renaud, the park's designers, were awarded a gold medal. It was designed as a romantic park with lakes, small islands, bridges, gazebos, beautiful waterfalls and numerous pathways. The terrain is both undulating and flat, and planted with ornamental trees and shrubs, many of which are species difficult to adapt to these climatic conditions. The park is one of the favourite places for young people in the city and often hosts various artistic events. The aim of the two symphony orchestras is to present a diverse program of music to entertain and enrich the local audience, but also to present the rich cultural heritage of their cities. The film, entitled A Journey Through Notes, is a part of the Travelling on Musical Notes, promoting the natural heritage and resources and cultural heritage of the cross-border region, funded by the EU through the ERDF under the Cross-Border Cooperation Programme INTERREG Romania Bulgaria 2014-2020.